Howdy, folks, and welcome back to ARK University. Professor Bowden Maddox here, or Professor Astrid Maddox in the case of my character here, my avatar, trying to share a little bit of wisdom that's we've picked up about ARK Survival Evolved for you guys who are new to the game. So one of the things that you're going to notice on the right side of your screen at the bottom of those icons, of course, and you're probably familiar with those if you played a little bit. If you haven't, check out our first episode where we talk about them. But there's a water droplet there, and below that is a little hunk of meat. The water droplet talks about your hydration or your water levels. The meat talks about your nutrition or food levels. So we're going to talk about hydration and nutrition in this particular how-to, this particular university episode. And the first thing we're going to talk about is hydration or water. You'll notice that the two icons are just slightly less than full, which means I'm a little thirsty and a little hungry. If I get completely thirsty, I'm going to start dehydrating, which means I'm going to start losing health. And that's the icon at the bottom, the big like cross, the first aid symbol. Will start draining if I have no water. Same is true if I have no food. If I have no food, I'm going to start losing health. So both of these you want to kind of try to keep filled up. You don't need to keep them topped off, but you probably should if you have the opportunity. If you're near water or have a piece of food and you're getting a little hungry, you might want to top those off. So for water, the simplest and easiest way to get water in the game is to find a body of water, such as our little lagoon here. Now, early on in ARK, there's a misconception that you have to go into the water. You have to go underneath the water. You do have to step into it, but you don't have to go underneath it and submerge yourself. That was true in the very first version or versions of ARK. It's no longer true. You just have to basically stand in the water and use your use key, whatever your use key is, and you'll hear yourself drinking, and your little water icon will fill up. That is the simplest way to get water. Now, if you're nowhere near water, there are ways to save water. You can use a water skin, which is a very easy thing to learn. It's very early on in the game, and you can actually just use that item to drink from it. Or if you're standing in water, as I'm doing now, if you use the item, it'll actually fill it up. Same is true of a water jar, which is a little more complex. Let's go ahead and just fill that up by standing in the water and clicking it and saying use. Now these can also be down here on the bar as well. You don't have to use them in your inventory. The last one is a canteen. Now, this one is learned later. It's built on the fabricator. There's a difference between all these. The water skin can only hold one drink, and it will start leaking water over time. In fact, it says that in the description. So if you only have those and you're going to be away from water for a long time, you might want to take several, like 3 or 4 of them, and try to fill them up and drink them as need be. They're probably going to run out, though, pretty quickly. The water jar can contain 2 drinks. It's a bit heavier, but it does not leak. The canteen contains 3 drinks and also does not leak, but it is much lighter than the water jar. Now, another way to fill up water is to use your rain. By the way, when it's raining in the game, if you're thirsty, your water indicator, your water droplet on the right side will fill up completely in the rain. And also, if it's raining, you can use one of your water containers, and your water container will fill up with water. So that's pretty easy, right? All right, now we've talked about multiple ways to fill up your water, and there is another way, and that is with a water tap. From the water taps, you can actually drink water simply by using your use key, and you hear yourself drinking as if you did it on top of water. Or you can open up the inventory of the water tap, and that's usually with the F key by default to open up another inventory, and you can put a water container in here and have it fill up with water automatically. As you see, these water skins are being filled up. You can also do that with a water jar or with a canteen. They'll all work. Now, I'm a little bit hungry over here, folks, and you can see that on the indicator. And one of the first things you're going to do in the game to get food is to harvest bushes, these bushes, and grab them berries. You use your use key on them. You grab some berries. You see I'm grabbing some fiber as well. Let's grab a few of these bushes just so that I can show you some of the other benefits of what you get from berries, or from bushes, pardon me. If you look on my food indicator over here on the right, I'm 76.2 of 100, so I'm hungry. I'm a little bit thirsty as well. Now, if I eat a berry, notice how it gives me a point of water and a point of food. That's true. If I eat a seed, these seeds, don't throw them away. They're good food. You can actually eat them. And it doesn't matter which one you eat. You can eat stemberry, and it doesn't have the effects of an actual stemberry. The seed is just food for you. If you eat one of those, you get a little bit of food. You don't get water, though. We're eating seeds. We're getting some food. Now we'll eat some more berries and try to top this off. Now this is an easy way to get food in the beginning, early in the game. But you don't want to depend on this for very long. Now, there's a couple of berries you don't really want to eat. You can, but if you eat these stem berries, watch my stats on the right as I eat a stem berry. Actually, let me eat all 3. Notice something about my water. My food went up. My water is going down. I'm getting thirsty and thirsty and thirsty. Stem berries will do that for you. They'll give you back your stamina, and they'll give you some food, but they're going to make you thirsty. They'll also reduce your torpor if you've been stung by a scorpion or a bug that's increasing your torpor and making you drowsy. Now, one way to increase your torpor is to eat narco berries, which you should not do, but I'm going to chow down on 3 of them right now. And you'll notice that my torpor is increasing. I don't know if my fortitude affects that. I haven't actually tested that, but I think since I have high fortitude, it doesn't affect me as much. So I don't think I'm going to pass out. In fact, it's already going down. 3 berries aren't going to make me pass out. So berries are a quick way to get a little bit of water, a little bit of food, and also the seeds. Don't throw them away in the beginning, because those are food, and you might need to eat them. And now, let's talk about meat, the good food. Now, of course, to get that, you're going to have to kill something, so stand ready. All right, Mr. Parasaur, you're it. Parasaurs run, so you got to run after him. Oh, you little sneaky thing. Stopping like that and making me attack you. Getting them in the water or getting them up against a body of a rock or something is a good thing to do. Now, you can harvest, if you happen to have a pike like I do or a spear, you can harvest meat with that. But the best way to harvest meat is with a pickaxe, whether it be stone or metal. So let's go ahead and grab some raw meat. And we'll talk about how to cook meat and what meat does for you. Now, before we cook it, we could actually eat it raw. That's possible, but watch what happens to our stats again. Watch on the right. It says that you ate a rotten food. Your health is decreasing slightly from it. So my health actually went down by 5 points. So I can get more food to prevent my health from draining automatically, but at a cost of a few points of health. And that health will re-increase. So if I get my food back up, my health will automatically increase over time. So it might be a good trade-off when you're in desperate straits. But you don't really want to eat rotten meat. So let's talk about cooking meat. One of the first ways you're going to cook meat in the game is with a campfire, which is one of the first things you can learn. So if you open up one of your campfires, throw in a fuel source. I'm going to use thatch here, but you can use wood, you can use spark powder. There's some other things you can use as well. Throw this wood in here and light it up. And after a little while, we're going to get some cooked meat over here, and we can consume that. All right, we've got a couple pieces of cooked meat, so let's go ahead and grab that. Notice our food indicator, where our number is at 83. It'll drop slowly over time. But if I eat one of these meats, I'm going to go right up to 100. And the reason I do that, not right up to 100, but it'll eventually get up to 100, is because a piece of cooked meat is worth 20 food points. Now, there's also something called prime meat. And let's turn off this fire, grab this stuff out of here, and we'll talk about prime meat. All right, now there are certain animals on the ARK that give you prime meat. These big brontos here will definitely give you prime meat. These stegos, they're the ones with the longer tails and the spikes on the back. They'll give you prime meat. Nothing else you see here will give you prime meat. The parasaurs, the trikes, the ankies, they do not give prime meat. So what we're going to do is, out of curiosity, what level is this Bronto? Level 8. We're going to go ahead and use our high-level direwolf here to harvest prime meat. In fact, harvesting prime meat with animals can be more effective if you've got the right kind of animal. A wolf or a cat tend to act like pickaxes. So they'll tend to give you the best sort of meat from any kind of an animal, especially one that has prime. So let's go ahead and attack this Bronto. And it's a pretty quick kill with this particular animal. And we'll go ahead and continue to chomp. And you see we got 16 raw prime meat on one chomp there. So let's go talk about prime meat and how to cook that. All right, here we are back at our campfire. If we go back into our campfire, we throw in our fuel. And we throw in, you'll notice only one prime meat at a time. They don't stack. You can't stack them on top of each other. So this is a very ineffective way to cook prime meat. Prime meat has a great benefit for you, but it also, raw prime meat has a great benefit for taming animals. But for you, that's all we care about right now is nutrition. So when we get a cooked prime meat here, I'll go ahead and chomp down on that. But I wanted to point out how inefficient it is to use campfires to do prime meat. So when you only have this campfires, you might want to set up a bunch like I've got here and cook a whole bunch of prime meat at the same time. But if we eat a piece of prime meat, it says it's more effective than normal meat, and it is. If you use it, I can't really show you here because I'm only a couple down, but it'll give you 40 food points. So it's double the potency of a regular cooked meat. So that's awesome. But say you are tired of cooking with little campfires, especially when you have a lot of meat. Well, we got a lot of meat over here on London, so let's grab all of that meat, and let's go and look at the thing called the industrial cooker, which you'll eventually get to. It doesn't take that long to get to an industrial cooker. It's fairly modest level. I wouldn't say low level. I wouldn't say high level. But if you throw all of your compatible meat into this cooker, and you take a can of gasoline, which is very easy to make with leather and oil. We'll talk about that. Hide and oil. We'll talk about that later in another video. And you turn this thing on, you're going to cook your meat at a much higher rate. And you can cook your prime meat in batches. So that's why I've thrown the prime meat in first, to demonstrate how quickly it will cook prime meat. And it also cooks regular meat if they're both in here at the same time, which is really cool. In just a few seconds, it's going to show us, boom, 13 regular cooked meat and 12 of the prime. So an industrial cooker is definitely the way to go when you want to start cooking meat in mass. Okay, we talked about berries, we talked about seeds, we talked about meat, but there are other forms of nutrition on the island. Let's look at these, for example. Now, mushrooms you can get by harvesting crystals. When you harvest crystals with a pickaxe, you occasionally pick up a rare mushroom. Mushrooms can be eaten. Now it says, it kind of warns you feel a little lightheaded after touching this. Ingesting it would be dangerous. But if you look at our food, 86.2, our food went up. No ill effects. Nothing else changed in our stamina bar. Now, whether or not that's a glitch in ARK right now and they actually intended it to do something bad, I don't know. It doesn't seem to do anything bad. I thought maybe the torpor would go up, but nothing seems to happen. So, mushrooms seem to be perfectly edible. Let's look at rare flowers. Are they edible? Well, we don't have a use item. I don't think they're edible. Edible. Also, plant species X seed. Well, it's a seed, isn't it? So it does, of course, give you food. Just like any other seed, it'll give you a point of food. Now, the last one we want to look at is eggs. And in order to demonstrate eggs properly, I'm going to go hungry for a while and then come back. Hungry and thirsty for a while, and then come back and show you. Okay, we are sufficiently hungry and thirsty now. We're under 60 food and under 50 water. That I'm going to try to eat this egg. Now, this is a dodo egg, probably the most plentiful egg you can find on the ARK. And these eggs are fairly safe to grab, too, because dodos, they won't really react, and if they do, they're very easy to fend off. You don't want to grab the eggs of other animals unless you're willing to fight off whatever the mother or father of that egg or any related animal is. So if you grab a Bronto egg, be ready to be chased by a couple of Brontos across the map. Same for any other animal. They're going to attack you, so be careful. Dodo eggs, very plentiful, but look at the nutritional value of those as well. Our food is under 60. Our water is at 41. Let's go ahead and have one. Well, our water didn't really increase, did it? So it doesn't give us water, but it does give us food. Look at that. It got us up to close to 80 there. So pretty good nutritional value. Not bad. Now, rotten meat, spoiled meat. Can you eat it? You can. What does it do to you? Uh-oh. Your health is decreasing. So it's the same as raw meat, basically. It will give you a little bit of food. Just a little bit. It looks like it only gives you about 4 or 5, maybe 5. But it decreases your health slightly, so is it worth it? It's up to you. Now, there are some other food items available to you. They're called advanced crops. Oh, here we have a greenhouse out here, but you can set up a farm plot anywhere to grow these advanced crops. You will not find them magically anywhere in the world. You have to grow them in these plots. But here are, again, all of them are almost the same. So here are some carrots. Carrots actually give you, I believe, is it 20? It's a certain number, and it might even be 20 food and water. Water? Food and water. They do give you some food and water. Corn gives you some food and water. If I'm not mistaken, they give you the most. I'm not sure if exactly the amounts, but they give you food and water, which is really cool. Especially since I'm not really hungry right now, it's hard to tell. Potatoes give you, if I'm not mistaken, just food, not water. So I'm at 57 water. That shouldn't really go up. Yeah, it's going up just a little bit. I was wrong. They give you water now, too. They didn't used to. Lemons give you food and water as well. So they're really good. If you can get these advanced crops, they're good nutritional value. They're like cooked meat, basically, in their nutritional value. And also taming herbivores. The herbivores like those, too. So herbivores like that food as well. Anyway, folks, I hope that this little share of wisdom helped you in some way. Appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.